Okay, let's talk about content first design. What is content first design? I'm not sure if that's a term that you've heard of, but essentially there are sort of two schools of thought when it comes to web design. One, as we sort of discussed previously in sort of a more of a template approach, is the designer sort of has a design, they have a template, they have it laid out, they have the sections, they just need your text, they maybe need some images and they need your colors, but the design is sort of done. Like if the design is already finished and you add your text. That's a very common practice when you're working with like small websites, maybe lower cost websites, template based websites, and there's an absolutely a good place for that. But what we're going to talk about, as we've been talking about in this course, is about custom design and creating a site where you sort of are leading the creative development of this project. And so I want to talk about content first design. And content first design is the opposite of that. That is where the designer follows your lead and follows the design is there to build on what the website says. And so, kind of like I said in the previous video, what your website says is the biggest factor for moving that needle, whether someone opts in or buys something or engages with you or books a call. And so the purpose of the design is to enhance the copy, enhance the content. So we are going to design in a way that boosts what your website is saying because we know that the value of the language of the site and that emotional capacity for connection is what we need to do as a design standpoint. So to us, to any agency that follows a content first design approach, the number one factor that we need to consider is how much content, because how much content is to determine how much design is to determine how much development needs to be done. Obviously how much development needs to be done is going to determine how much quality assurance needs to be done in terms of responsiveness testing and all that sort of stuff. So it all starts with your website text, how much text. And this is very, very stressful to most people. And I've done this on my own website a dozen times. And every time I have to write content, I get so stressed. I hate it. Everybody hates it. So I'm going to go through some tips in the next lessons about how to make it a little bit easier. But just know this is not, unless you're a writer, this is not easy. This is not logical to us. Like thinking in terms of word count and sections and titles and subtext and then obviously making it read well and sound good and work with your SEO keywords. And there's so many pieces to this puzzle. So I'm going to again talk you through it, but just to understand that the effectiveness of the conversion capacity of your website is based on what the website emotionally says, how it creates that emotional connection through the language on the website. So, and then obviously the price for design and development sort of follows along after that. So before you can get a quote, if you're working with an agency or a web person that follows content first design, they are going to ask you for your content. I personally think that following like a template, it's great, if that gives you enough space to say what you want to say. But if you have more that you want to add that you feel is important to your users, then definitely I would work with someone who follows more of a content first approach. So let's get into it. How do we make that easier? I'll talk to you in the next video.